After 25,000 hours of working on pushing various kinds of traffic to websites, I started off in PR in a gray cubicle in LA, working in New York, now, working in London. I've made quite a few mistakes along the way, and part of the main thing that has taught me how to become better is observing how profitable business owners run their business, and especially how they think about when creating demand for their business. Now, there's these two different approaches that you can take, and often the business owners behind them, they're often, very much alike. They're often have good decision-making chops when it comes to running the business as a whole. They're motivated by success. I mean, that's obvious. But these two approaches really have stuck out over the time. So you have approach number one, which is emotion-based approach. It's observing that, how we're going to drum up business. We're going to go with what our gut tells us. We're going to, if I like that brand, if I like the ad we're creating, we're going to go with it. And then you had the less romantic approach, which was data-driven. So how did this perform? What channels are working for our competitors? What might we use? And outside of those things, these people are usually very much alike. And if they've been in business for years and they've been running at a profit, it's like if you look at their finance and their operation side of the business, it's usually doing, it's healthy. Could improve, but it's healthy. But then the marketing and how you steer that's where I've seen a lot of difference. So stepping back, let's say you have approach one, and it's very much an emotional approach. It's you're making decisions about, and you're using feelings to guide those decisions. Then you have your other side, which is you're using a bit more science. So you're asking for data to come in that helps reflect what you're going to do, and that approach is often decreases the amount of stress. So when you're emotional, often you are experiencing more stress when you're trying to make a decision. You're also saying things like, what should we do next? Or at least thinking it. And I've just seen this kind of pattern over and over. If you're using data, you're able to understand, okay, this is working, this specifically isn't, this is probably how I should invest in the future, and even importantly, what should I do in the next 90 days? I started using, I was in LA as an intern when I first came across this, and it was an Alec Baldwin monologue from Glengarry Glen Ross, where he described on a chalkboard, he's like, attention, interest, desire, action. Like those were the 4 steps that he would measure everything on. So at attention, it's how are you getting attention? If you're trying to get attention to your website, you might be using advertising, you might be using public relations, you might be using social media, Google search and how you get people searching might be massively important. Finally, there's direct marketing, right? So that's all these things at the top. And when you're able to step outside of emotion and selectively measure and pick the right channels, that matters. Then moving to the interest. And that's being ruthless about a brand. So is the brand story that you're sharing, does that resonate with the market that you're after? Like, does that match their worldview? And you can measure that. Then there's the desire. If you've got people at interest level come for the first time to your website, how can you get them to come multiple times? Because usually if you're after a business outcome, you have to get multiple brand touch points to occur before that happens. And then finally, action, right? It might be as crass as, I just want sales, I just want leads. Or it might be something a little bit more intangible of things like brand awareness, because it's a really competitive space that you're in, and you have to stick out against the competition. Using that AIDA funnel, using that AIDA technique has helped me make sense of that decision-making process. So how to get your website noticed is part of its art. Obviously, the emotion's important, but I am making an argument for introducing more science into how you think about marketing. Obviously, emotion matters, but when you're making decisions, having more science in the process is the number one thing I've noticed in working with so many different business owners. You might be in business for many different emotional reasons, but to keep being in business, you need to obviously be profitable. And that scientific approach to it allows that to happen.